Welcome to Jordan Sports Talk. This is your boy Jordan here. It is Sunday, 11:45 p.m. Busy day with friends and family, doing a lot of catching up. We got NFL free agency hitting the absolute max. You got Selection Sunday full of upsets and big games. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just absolutely excited for this. It can't get any better than this. And let me tell you something, I want to thank all of you for liking my first episode of Jordan Sports Talk, sharing the page, and if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, subscribe on YouTube to Jordan Burnett. Any help is absolutely necessary. I want to thank you guys. I'm incredibly grateful, and I think this is just absolutely awesome. Now, if you're a first time viewer and you're wondering what's going on here, well, what we're doing is we're talking sports. We're talking any sort of sports. If it's basketball, baseball, hockey, college sports, just anything that crosses your mind. You ask, I'm going to give you the answer. And what I'm doing is I'm making it as simple as possible because nobody cares about the 31 and 39 Lakers that are 10 games back because they have a superstar named LeBron James. No disrespect to him, but there's bigger and better things out there, and there's 1,000 more things to talk about. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. This is a big step. Today is episode 2 of Jordan Sports Talk, so let's get this going. There are a lot of questions. This is going to be a long and exciting episode. So, gather my thoughts here. The first question is from TJ. With Odell Beckham Jr. out of New York, do the Giants draft a quarterback or continue to build around Eli? Well, I'm assuming with Odell Beckham being moved to Cleveland, Odell wanted to go to a contender. I think the Giants got the best deal possible. They got 2 first-round picks. They got a first and a third-round pick. And I think this is your best shot to get a quarterback. There's 2 potential quarterbacks right now going, and that's Kyle Murray and Dwayne Haskins. If you feel like that's not your answer, you either go back to the whiteboard and maybe look for next year's free agents class, which I honestly have no idea who's available yet. Or maybe 2020 is a little more deep, but time's ticking if you're in New York. I know you're rebuilding, and honestly, it's a bad situation for them right now. I mean, they haven't been any good over the last 2-3 years with Odell Beckham. So I mean, this could be good for them. Maybe pull a Oakland Raiders or Cleveland Browns and just keep, have a couple bad seasons and keep building young talent. I mean, that's worked out. So honestly, that's my best advice for the New York Giants right now. TJ, hope all is well, buddy. Congratulations on Duke, and I hope your mom is doing terrific. All right, Sal, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? Thoughts on Le'Veon Bell's fit in a New York Jets uniform? Doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the only thing I can think of is guarantee money. You guys know I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, and I can't stand the Steelers. So I would assume if you're a big time player and you want to get paid, you also want to win too. And Le'Veon Bell got 4 years and $52 million. Obviously, there's going to be incentives involved. He wants the most guaranteed money. I think it was $32 million involved. What scratches my head about this situation is you're going to still be the third team in the division because you got the New England Patriots who always reload. The Buffalo Bills are showing signs that they're on the rise. You're probably going to be better than the Miami Dolphins. The wild card is basically out of hand because you got the Los Angeles Chargers, you got the Denver Broncos, you got the Baltimore Ravens, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you also got the Indianapolis Colts or the Houston Texans, but I don't know. I think he obviously wanted the money. Maybe he likes the lifestyle. Sam Darnold's not exactly the most accurate quarterback in football. He led rookies with I think it was 17 interceptions, and it's just not a place where there's going to be a good line for him, and I guess he's going to learn it the hard way. I guess they'll go from 4-12 to 6-10 this year. So, congratulations, Le'Veon Bell, on your move and your money. It was worth the wait, I guess. So, that's my opinion on Le'Veon Bell. Sal, we're double dipping here. How does Justin Coleman fit in Detroit as a top slot corner? Well, as Detroit's been pretty involved so far, They signed him to a 4-year, $36 million deal. He is part of used to play with Matt Patricia over in New England, which is that's nice over there. And he was also in the Legion of Boom. So I think, in my opinion, he'll heavily be involved in special teams. Uh, Him and Darius Slay, they're both actually cousins, so that's perfect. I mean, nothing more than blood. Get to know each other, and you figure out what's going to be what's going to go there. I think that's going to be a nice 1-2 combo for the Detroit Lions. I just looked up his career numbers. It was 126 tackles and 3 interceptions. Honestly, Detroit's got nothing to lose at this point. I think it's great that they're giving him an opportunity. I think Justin Coleman understands that this could be his last chance to really break out as a corner, and he's going to have to make the most out of it. And that's all I can really say about that, Sal. The Lions are going to be rebuilding, and they're going to retool because I know the Minnesota Vikings had a tough year, but they're going to get better. The Packers are going to get better, and the Bears look really good. So, Sal, thank you so much. All right, Javon. Sorry about your Steelers, not really, but congratulations on Duke. Best free agent signing so far. Well, it's not exactly a free agent signing, but I'm going with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's going to be my best acquisition. I got to think this one over, buddy. I mean, this is a tough one. I would have to say the Honey Badger from Kansas City, Tyrann Mathieu. Kansas City, I think, is missing a key piece, and their biggest struggle has been stopping tight ends, wide receivers, and they've gotten beat every single time. And you see the Kansas City Chiefs in these tight situations, and it just doesn't get any easier. And they need a young gun that can lead this core. And unfortunately, Eric Berry tore his Achilles, and I think the Chiefs made a huge mistake by bringing him in late last year, and they paid for it. I'm gonna go with acquisitions here real quick. While we're here, I know that wasn't part of the question, but you gotta believe Antonio Brown is the biggest hype move right now in the offseason, with Tyrell Williams, Lamarcus Joyner, and Trent Brown. Lamarcus Joyner is a safety, and Brown is a left tackle. The thing about the Oakland Raiders is they got 2 first-rounders in 2019, 2 first-rounders in 2020. In the 2019 draft, they're going to have 6 of the first 100 picks. They're onto something. But, yeah, Javon, Tyrann Mathieu right now I think is the best sign. I think its second would be Earl Thomas, because that's a big boost for Baltimore secondary. So, Javon, thank you so much. Javon again. Who do you think is the number 1 contender in the AFC North? Well, I wrote this down, so maybe we'll make this easier. The Cleveland Browns added Odell Beckham and Kareem Hunt. So, the Cleveland Browns not only do have Jarvis Landry, but you have Odell Beckham. Not just that, you got David Njoku, Kareem Hunt, and you got Nick Chubb. So you got 2 stellar running backs. You have a running back receiver in Duke Johnson. I don't think they trade him anyways. I think that's a great guy to have around, especially with Kareem Hunt being suspended 8 games. The Browns lost Peppers, corner from Michigan. I don't think that's a big deal. I think they can bounce back. I think their question mark will be defense going into the season. This one's going to be a long list. The Baltimore Ravens, who added Earl Thomas, Mark Ingram, re-signed Tavon Young, and got Bethel from the Atlanta Falcons. They lost Eric Weddle, Terrell Suggs, C.J. Mosley, Eric Weddle, Terrell Suggs, C.J. Mosley, Michael Crabtree, John Brown, Alex Collins, and Flacco, and they also lost to Ladarius Smith. That's who I was thinking of. So the Ravens have $105 million in cap room. So I think their goal is to continue to build the secondary, excuse me, and maybe build a D-line through the draft. I'm guessing they're also going to try to get another top-tier wide receiver in Metcalf or Butler. So I think the Ravens have a plan. I knew they weren't going to go away. And the other team that comes in the mind is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who added Dontel Moncrief, and they re-signed Eli Rogers. They lost Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Jesse James. Look, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that was a mess last year. They are not a 9-6-1 team. That was, I don't know what that was. That was just like a soap opera. I think this year's going to be tough for them, but Pittsburgh has always had a tradition where they're going to build running backs. And James Conner, they always have class tier guys. They got Juju Smith-Schuster, a wide receiver who's going to, if you pay attention to fantasy football, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. Don't argue with me because you know I'm right. So right now I'm going with the Cleveland Browns right now as the favorite. I never thought I'd be saying that. That would sound like a joke, but they're very good on paper, and we're going to find out what happens when it comes to crunch time. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to get a wild card spot. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers unfortunately missed the postseason again. I know the NFL needs the Pittsburgh Steelers to be relevant in order for the NFL to be great. So I love that question. That is a good one. All right. Javon, we just keep going, bud. Who do you have winning the whole thing in March Madness? So I was just talking about at the beginning of the show, Selection Sunday. Best 2 to 3 weeks of the season. My favorite is the first day because you just see stuff that you never see. For example, did anybody think that a 16 seed would be the number 1 seed? I mean, there's no way I would have thought that. I don't think Virginia just dominated the ACC last year, and they go down and lose. So it just shows you that that's the thing that's great about this game is it's a 1-game series, and any given day, anytime on any given day, that anybody can be beat. So I just think that's great. I like Duke. I mean, I think even in a 1-game series, they are so deep. They got 3 All-Americans right now. I think and a 4th that's going to be a Player of the Year candidate. I saw their side of the bracket, and it's definitely the easiest side of the bracket. So I would have a hard time seeing them not make it to the Final Four at least. This is a really deep team. I think this is Coach K's best team. At least in all the years I've been watching college basketball, this is a really good team. I am hyping Duke. I really am. I've been hyping Duke all year. If you asked me this last week and Zion wasn't there, there's no way I'd have Duke winning it, and it would be a tougher pill to swallow. All right. Same thing. Who is your Cinderella pick? Well, I love Selection Sunday because it gives you that hindsight what's going to happen. I think Oregon is the hottest team right now going. They just cleaned out the Pac-12. And the Pac-12, I think, doesn't get enough credit. I think they are a pretty decent conference. I think they just had a rough non-conference, go. So it made their conference look weak. So I think Oregon's going to beat Wisconsin. I think they're going to beat the winner Kansas State, UC Irvine. And they're going to make a nice win. I love Murray State. I love J.A. 24 points a game, shooting over 51%, 10 assists a game. He keeps his guys involved. I love that game that they're going to get to the second weekend. I truly believe we could see a Syracuse versus Murray State Sweet 16. Yes, I am snubbing Gonzaga. And I also like Buffalo. Buffalo, Buffalo is a very deep team, full of experience. They also won a game last season in the NCAA tournament. They knocked off Arizona. We haven't heard from Arizona. So Buffalo 30-3, dominated the MAC tournament. I think they can get to the second weekend. I like what they can do. Excuse me. All right. From Joshua. Joshua, thanks for subscribing to my channel, my man. How good of a signing was Devin Funchess in Indy? I think it's a fresh start for him. I think in Carolina, his reputation is dropping the ball. He's dropped some very critical passes, and he just hasn't been there in the biggest moments, and that's tough. And the good news for him is he's 24 years old. He can bounce back. I'm going to give you some stats on Devin Funchess right now. Last season, so he had 44 catches, 549 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He, unfortunately, had the highest receiving drop rate. I just pulled this up according to sources. So I'm going to give you the top 5 wide receivers who need the most work. They had the highest drop percentage. Devin Funchess was number 1 at 13.9%. So it's 1 in every 7 he dropped. So that's horrible. Laquan Treadwell, 13.2%. John Ross from the Bengals, 12.1%. Keelan Cole from the Jacksonville Jaguars, 10%. And a surprise, Randall Cobb, 9.8%. So those 5 have their work cut out. They're going to have to really pick it up. I think Devin Funchess is in a great system. Andrew Luck is a terrific leader, and I think he needed to get out of Carolina. Carolina was just, it seemed like they're treading in the wrong direction. So I think this is a good move. It's a low risk, high reward situation for the Colts. Great question. Eric, go Hornets. Unfortunately, I lost to the Miami Heat today. Shaking my head. Who is your pick to win the Stanley Cup? There's only one team that really comes into mind this year, and it's the obvious one, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are setting records this year. I haven't watched much hockey this year, I'm going to be honest, but it seems like every time I'm looking around, they're just pummeling their opponents, and what they're doing is at an unrealistic pace. I think they're about to break the all-time points record, and I would be shocked if they didn't win the Stanley Cup. It's got Stamkos, and I'm sorry, I got to pull up this guy's name real quick. His name is Cedric Pelvet, who has scored 12 goals on 72, in his last 72 shots, he's had 12 goals. Now, if you're looking, you're thinking like, what the heck is he talking about? Just think how many times someone shoots at a goal. If it's from 3/4 of the way or close to the net. It's pretty tough to score. So I kind of look at it as a pretty overwhelming stat, and it seemed like a very shareable one. I don't know. I would say Tampa Bay, and if there's anybody that can really, really punch him in the mouth, I'd say it's Washington. Washington always seems to be ready when it comes to the postseason. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they have looked a lot more livelier than what they used to when they were losing in the first and second round. So that is a good question. I like that question. And more hockey here from Eric. Do you think the Carolina Hurricanes will make it to the postseason with them currently sitting at the number 1 wildcard spot? Well, Eric, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't know much about the Carolina Hurricanes, but I did get to do my research on them. And right now they're sitting at 85 points, which is absolutely terrific. They are 4 points ahead of Montreal, who is chasing you guys right now. And I looked up your next 5 games. And I think this is going to depend on these next 5 games because we're in the home stretch. We got 12 more hockey games left. Pittsburgh, who's 39-24-9. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 55-13-4. Minnesota, who's been falling. You might win that one, 34-38. Montreal, who's chasing you, 37-28-7. And then you got to go Washington. So my advice to you is this homestand is going to be huge for you. You have to take advantage of home ice. If you guys can go even like 2-2-1 or something like that, and you can beat Montreal and beat the Wild, and maybe force overtime with Pittsburgh, you guys are going to be in good shape. But you know what? I'm feeling good about this. Carolina's had a tough year when it comes to sports. They've had tough breaks lately. I'm going to put you guys in the playoffs, but I think you'll be out in the first round. So, go Hornets. Great question, Eric. Mark, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Should Lions fans be worried about Trey Flowers signing to Detroit since traditional players that leave New England never seem to play up to the level they did in New England? Yes, you are absolutely right. The only player there's probably a lot more that haven't panned out. That did pan out after New England was Wes Welker. Wes Welker, well, maybe because he had Peyton Manning, but that's the only guy I could think of that really panned out. LeGarrette Blount won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, so you could say he panned out. He was a great goal line guy. But these couple guys that I'm going to name, didn't really pan out. and this was last year. Danny Amendola got cut by Miami. Malcolm Butler, one of the worst covers, worst corners in the NFL right now. Good going, Titans. Speaking of Titans, Dion Lewis. I haven't heard from him. DeMarco Murray retired, and Derrick Henry took his job and started flying away. So, Dion Lewis, more of like a slot guy for Mariota, and now they got Ryan Tannehill, so that should be fun. And Shane Vereen. What is Shane Vereen up to these days? Is he still with Eli Manning in New York? So, I'm guessing with Patricia in Detroit, give this a chance. See what happens. See if Trey Flowers will pan out. Give this a year. Give this a year or two. He's on a 4-year deal. Give it a shot. See what happens. Detroit. I think Detroit's got nothing to lose. You got a new head coach. You're trying to rebuild your team. I know it's kind of a dark day right now as a Lions fan, but see what happens. See what happens. See if they pan out. Give it a chance. That's my best advice. All right, Sal. Is the NFC North now the most competitive division in football? Absolutely not. But they did get better. I still think the AFC West really got good with, even though Kansas City's in a tight window right now with the Tyreek Hill investigation. Ironically, that's going to be a question later on in the show. The Denver Broncos getting Joe Flacco, and they're adding some pieces. The Oakland Raiders getting Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams. They're going to be stocked up in the draft. I think that's a great draft. I think that's a great division. I think the AFC North is always competitive. You got the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens. You can make a case for the NFC South being good. The AFC South, I think those are all divisions that are better than the NFC North. I think the NFC North's kind of in a hole right now. It might come down to the Bears and Packers. So, I think it's a tough spot, but I would put that division in the middle of the pack right now. But who knows? I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Brian? I guess go Cubs. Should the Cubs sign Craig Kimbrell? I noticed Craig Kimbrell wants this 5-6 year deal, and he wants to be the highest paid closer. He wants that Aroldis Chapman kind of money. He wants $18 to $20 million a year. He's got a case because he's been very successful. In fact, he's been successful his entire career. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the last 3 seasons Craig Kimbrell's done in Boston. 2016, it was 2-6 with a 3.40 ERA, 57 games pitched, 31 saves, 83 strikeouts, 30 walks. 2017, I think was his best year, 5-0, 1.43 ERA, 67 games, 35 saves, 126 strikeouts, and 14 walks. And then last year, championship year, 5-1, 2.74 ERA, 63 games played, 42 saves, 96 strikeouts, 31 walks. That is the Cubs' biggest question mark, is their bullpen. And I think that's unfortunately going to cost them to win the division. They have one of the best rotations in baseball. That's always been a strength of the Chicago Cubs. You are relying on a closer that you signed last year that can't get off the shelf. You also have another guy who I think is on the rise in Pedro Strop. Let me clarify that. The guy I was talking about was Brandon Morrow. Then you got Pedro Strop, who I am a big fan of. I love Pedro Strop. I think his stuff is disgusting. Cubs fans are comparing him to Carlos Marmol. I think that's absurd. I've always thought that's absurd. I think Pedro Strop's better. I think he's got more heart than Carlos Marmol does. I think he's got better stuff. I think he's a little more accurate. I think he knows how to get out of more situations than Carlos Marmol does. Pedro Strop would be probably the closest thing to the closer that the Cubs have. Even if Morrow came back, I think he'd have to earn it. And if I'm the Cubs, see if you can sign Kimbrell to a 1-year, $22 million deal. Because you know what? I understand that he's trying to become the high-paid player, but give him guaranteed money this year and see if he can win you guys a World Series, and maybe he can get you that next step. I think Craig Kimbrell is a difference maker. And I am shocked that nobody has taken a chance on him, to be honest. I think he's a terrific pitcher, and I just think that's shocking. He's got great stuff. I know he had a tough postseason, but I don't know. the Cubs should just reach out to him and see what happens. I think he will get signed. I don't think he's gonna pull Le'Veon Bell and sell out the whole season. He's not gonna do that. So even Dallas Keuchel, I just think some of these guys will get signed. So let's hit the pause button on there real quick. So Brian, great question. All right, from the commish Chris Balky. How you doing, homie? What do the Chiefs do with the Tyreek Hill investigation? Well, excuse me, there are two ways you can do this. If he's guilty, you cut him because Kareem Hunt was statistically a top 3 running back last year, and the Chiefs seemed to manage without him. Tyreek Hill is a top 3 receiver in football. You can make an argument probably top 5. He's lightning fast. He can play in the special teams. He's a terrific receiver. But if this comes on, this is absolutely true. You got to put your foot down. You got to lead by example. The Chiefs did that with Kareem Hunt. I expect them to do that with Tyreek Hill. Now, if he's innocent and everything's cleared, then you just bring him back out. I would say for now you just you hide him and until this whole thing gets figured out. You keep him away from everybody and figure out what needs to be done in order to situate this investigation. So I hope for the Chiefs' sake that Tyreek Hill is innocent and that's all to it. If not, his career's in trouble. Simple as that. Excuse me. All right. Who's from Derek? Who is your final 4? Derek, I love you, bro. I hope you're doing well, my man. You know, if I was gonna do a show earlier, I would have made a bold spot and put the 4 of the best teams out there, because I was gonna do the show a little earlier today, because I put Duke, Michigan, Villanova, and a Cinderella team, and well, that was earlier today before I saw the selections. Duke is the team I think is gonna win the whole thing, so I gotta think this over. So I am going with Duke, Villanova, Kentucky. I'll have to check. Let's go with Michigan right now. I'm gonna have to check again and check my bracket because I have not looked yet. I'm gonna look tomorrow. By the way, if anybody's interested, I'm sending out invites on Facebook. So $10 an entry to Bracket Max. Derek, it's a great question. I hope we get another Loyola-like run in the NCAA tournament. Maybe a Murray State or an Oregon this year, or UC Irvine. That'd be pretty sweet. All right, final question from my old man, my dad. I love you, bud. Hi, Mom. Cubs are staying pat. Will they win their division? I think your bullpen's going to cost you. I just like that Craig Kimbrell question that Brian asked me. I think you're going to need a closer. Brandon Morrow's not a closer. Pedro Strop is not a closer. You need a closer. Not just that, you need some depth in your bullpen, and you don't have enough of that. I think you got guys they're not bad, they're okay, but I think you're going to have to make some moves that really push the envelope. So I would say the Milwaukee Brewers win your division, and I think the Cubs and Cardinals, or maybe the Cubs and Phillies, somebody like that's going to fight out that final wild card spot. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. That is about it, guys. Episode 2, I think, was an absolute success. I am considering doing an episode 3 this Tuesday on March Madness. I will post it on Facebook. And I just want to say I appreciate your guys' love and support. As always, subscribe on YouTube to Jordan Brunette. Guys, if there's anything I missed out on, just comment below. I can't wait for the next one because I have a feeling it's going to be all basketball, all free agency, and we're 2 weeks away from baseball, guys. We're 2 weeks away from baseball, 2 weeks away from the NHL playoffs, 2 weeks away from the NBA playoffs. This is absolutely exciting. Guys, I'm incredibly grateful. You be cool now.